everybody. Today we are discussing creation and evolution, and we're starting right now. This is normally when the cool intro would come in, but we're keeping things pretty chill, light, and breezy today. I'm here with NephilimFree and Ian Chen, and we're just going to be having a very chill conversation. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. The general format for tonight is we're going to give each of them an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll do 12 to 15-minute openers, flexible as usual. You guys know I'm not too harsh on the timing on that. Followed by about 50-60 minutes of open discussion, and then 2-minute closers, I believe we had said over email, along with the Q&A. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tag either myself at Gutsick Gibbon or Modern Day Debate. I am going to be collecting the questions, so super chats generally get priority, but if you have any other questions, I'm going to try to collect what I can anyways. So if we happen to not get too many super chats tonight, although I'm sure we will, then you'll get your question answered regardless. So I'm going to toss it over to, I believe Ian is beginning with his with his introduction. He'll introduce himself, then Nephew will introduce himself, and then we'll jump right into intros, which is going to be super fun. I'm psyched. I know you guys are psyched too. So please, Ian, take it away.
Oh, hello?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
sure can.
We hear you.
Hello? Hey, Steve, I've got problems with my audio. Can you come over here and fix it? What do you mean you're busy? What do you mean there's a boy drowning in the lake? Just don't worry about that. Just come and fix my audio. He'll still be drowning and you can fix him up later. Now, what I want you to do, Steve, is I want you to kneel in front of me between my legs, put your hands in front of you, close your eyes, bow your head and open your mouth and pray. Because isn't that what creationists say? If you pray hard enough, things will magically get better. Anyway, so guys, 10 points if you can guess who I am supposed to be. You can tell that I'm a doctor with this and I love dinosaurs. Anyway, so let me just share my screen. If I can. Share screen.
By all means.
Okay, hopefully this, let me know if you guys can see the screen.
Sure. Well, it says yes, sure can.
Okay, great. All right, so today we're talking about which is more scientific creation or evolution, but I just want to spend a couple of minutes to introduce who I am. It's my first debate. But I guess the first thing I want to say is I really want to thank NephilimFree and Erika. As I said, it's my first debate. NephilimFree is a famous YouTuber. Everyone knows who he is, but no one knows who I am. And of course, the wonderful, gentle and modern ape, Erika. I'm just super stoked that you have agreed to be the mod for this debate. So who am I? How come it doesn't change? Who am I? So my name is Ian Chen. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. This is a picture of me. This is not my wife. It's a picture of my wife. Boom, boom. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my formal education. And I'm not going to harp on too much about this at all because none of my education is relevant to any of the debate or the sciences that we'll be talking about today. So I'm not going to confirm what it is, but I may or may not have a bachelor's in marketing from Monash University in 1995. I may or may not have a master's in marketing from Melbourne University in 2002. And I may or may not have a doctorate in business administration from Melbourne Business School in 2017. As I said, none of these degrees or formal education is relevant to the science that we'll be talking about today. So I'm not going to go into it, and it's something I don't normally talk about. But what I do want to talk about is I actually do have a PhD in theology and biblical studies from Rockville University. Just got it 4 months ago last year. Now, it cost me $895, and I had to answer 6 questions to be awarded this PhD based on life experiences. So now I'm pleased to kind of announce that I have joined the ranks of other elite evolutionist YouTubers such as Dapper Dino and Speed of Sound of Gravity, who also have PhDs. And I would kind of recommend that if anyone in this audience wants to call Ken Hovind or Raw Matt doctors, you will also have to call Dapper Dino, Speed of Sound of Gravity, and myself doctors as well. So out of all these form of education, this is the one that's relevant to the debate today. Now, today I'll be talking and citing a lot of papers, and unlike some people, I'm well aware that you can't simply just reach and touch the screen and click on the hyperlinks that you'll see. So here's my email address. If you send me an email, I'll send you a copy of the presentation for those who are interested in digging into the citations and looking at the sources that I will be quoting directly. Now, as I kind of said, I don't have any education in the science, so I won't really be talking about the sciences today. The good news is you're not going to hear any science from NephilimFree as well, so we're pretty much on equal footing here. However, I do recommend some of these YouTube channels if you're not already subscribed. If you want to learn more about the science, Speed of Sound of Gravity does a daily weather report where he looks in the last 24 hours and kind of busts what creationists have been talking about. Obviously, Erika, Gutsick, Gibbon, Dapper Dino, and Creation Myths are really great in terms of the sciences. James Downer and Jackson Weird, and let me do a shill in their book. They've got a book. It's on the side of me. It's a wonderful book. It's something, if anyone is interested to know about the sciences behind a lot of the creationist claims, get this book. It is excellent. And obviously some of the others that you kind of see here. I do kind of want to also say that Standing for Truth also has a great channel. Now, he is a young earth creationist, and him and I have opposing worldviews. But if you want to hear about the latest in terms of young earth creationist arguments, and you want to hear young earth creationists that have PhDs, he's a good person. He's a good channel to kind of follow. Sorry, guys, let me just plug in my PowerPoint. Let's just say battery's running low. Okay, great. Okay, so thank you very much. That's all I kind of wanted to spend a bit of time talking about myself. So I guess over to Nephilim. Stop share.
Okay, so I unmuted myself. Neph is probably still listening. He is not currently in this room. Neph has, I guess, bailed out for the moment. James and I are thinking he's probably going to come back in, but he is not currently here. So, Ian, if you would like to just jump right into your intro, people are going to get something out of it anyways. So
yeah, sure thing. Let me go back to share the screen again. Here we go. All right, can you guys see that?
Sure can.
Okay.
Sure
excellent.
can.
Sure can. All right, so I guess before we start, I want to define what creation is, and there are 6 meanings to creation. Now, before I talk about what these meanings of creation is, I'm going to kind of defer a little bit to NephilimFree, who has given his definition of what science is. NephilimFree says that science is something that is observable, that is testable, and repeatable. So I just want you guys, the audience, to keep that in mind as I kind of go through the 6 meanings of creation and ask yourself, is any of this observable, testable, or repeatable? Because if it is not, it is not science. So the first step of creation is basically the creation of universe and light. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, Kent Hovind says that he spoke this into existence. So I have to ask myself, how does someone speak something into existence when there was no matter to form any sort of orifice for sound to come out from? And how does sound propagate when there is no matter for it to kind of vibrate against? So before he speaks anything into existence, how could he have done that? Now, also, God said, let there be light, and he separated the light and the darkness in the day and night. Now, we do know from science that day and night is really the movements of the sun. So once again, how is there day and night if there is no sun to define what is day and night? So once again, the answer for this is clearly magic, because it's not science. Now, the second meaning for creation is basically the creation of sky and the firmament. As I understand from the Bible, the universe was essentially covered in water, or full of water. And what God essentially did was created a firmament, I'm going to struggle with the pronunciation of this, which is essentially, as I kind of understand it, a snow globe or a crystal ball. And that crystal ball separated the waters that were outside the firmament and the waters that were inside the firmament. Now, the Bible clearly explains that rain comes from windows in this firmament, which lets the water from the outside come into the inside, and that is the finest rain. Now, we know that there's no such thing as a firmament, and we know that that is not how rain is formed. So once again, nothing scientific about this, and magic is the answer. Now, the third meaning of creation is the creation of land, seas, and plants. So what God did with all the water that was under the firmament was he gathered all of this under one place and exposed the dry land, which he called earth. And then he commanded to earth to bring forth grass, herbs, and fruit trees. Now, how was this done? The Bible doesn't say. There's nothing scientific about this particular meaning or this day of creation. It is, once again, all magic. Now, the fourth meaning of creation is the creation of the sun, moon, and stars. And what God did here was he put lights in this magical hypothetical firmament, and he said that these were stars. Then he created 2 lights. One was the greater light to rule the day, and the second was the lesser light to rule the night. And he put this again in the firmament. Now, we know that the sun and the moon are not fused into this firmament at all. And we know that stars are not fused in this firmament at all as well. And we also know that the moon is not a lesser light. What we see as the moonlight is essentially light that is reflected from the sun. So everything about this meaning of creation is completely wrong. It is not scientific at all. And in fact, it was done of magic. Now, the fifth meaning of creation is really creation of creatures that live in the sea and that fly. So God commanded the sea to bring forth creatures living in the water after their kind, and God then created the winged fowl after its kind. Now, I'm not going to go into how creation is unable to define what a kind is. Good old Erika, Gutsick, Gibbon, and many others have gone into that in a lot of detail. I suggest you go to their channels and see themselves. But, it's probably fair to say that there is no definitions of kind. But once again, how did God create and how did he command the seas to bring forth these creatures? Bible doesn't say. It is not scientific. It is just purely magic and imagination. And the last meaning of creation is really the creation of creatures that live on the land and humans. So God created the beasts of the earth and the creeping things that bring forth after their kind, that word again. So I want to ask NephilimFree, if he's still listening, penguins, ostriches, emus, and cassowaries, are they birds? Were they created on day 5 or are they land animals and created in day 6? This is the kind of vague definitions that creationists give that are unable to be specific, where science has to be specific. And that's why you have to trust science over magic, because you get definitions in science that you can test against. Now, obviously the biggest thing here was the creation of humans. Now, the Bible says that God created man from dust in his own image and gave him the breath of life in his nostril. Now, a fart is essential to one's health. If you hold in a fart long enough, it can actually cause irritation in your bowels, and in some extreme circumstances, it can be fatal. So the breath of life could very well be God creating a clay approximation of a man, then squatting over his nose and doing the one cheek squeeze. So I want to ask NephilimFree, not only is how did God create a man from dirt, but how is a fart the definition of someone's soul? Obviously, the mechanism here, it's not science, it is just magic and imagination. So it is clear from these 6 steps of creation that there's nothing scientific about it, and the entire story basically boils down to magic. Now, I'm going to stop talking about magic and I'm going to talk about some real sciences here. So what I kind of want to draw Erika's attention to here is, Erika, you're studying primatology, you're an expert here on hominin. You're probably not aware of the latest scientific paper on that essentially overturns human evolution, published in PLOS Biology by myself, Dr. Ian Chen, on Christmas Day, no less. And you can probably read from the title here. What I'm going to do is take people through some of the latest learnings from this particular paper and show how we've overturned essentially human evolution as you kind of know it. So next slide here. So what I want to do is I want to start off with the diagram that kind of really demonstrates what we know today. So this is what we know today. Australopithecus, evolves Homo lineages, and you'll see the different Homo lineages that we have found: Habilis, Erectus, and obviously Neanderthalensis, the latest one, but Homo sapiens and where we are today. But I do want to kind of point out that young Earth creationist hominin paleo expert NephilimFree has discovered a number of fossils that basically proves that Australopithecus had several sister lineages. And I'll kind of go through what the fossils that paleo expert NephilimFree has discovered in 2020. And that's basically 3 sister lineages: Europithecus, Australopithecus, and Americanopithecus. And basically what I want to kind of hone in and focus on is the evolution of Americanopithecus into the lineage the species that we see today called Homo young Earth creationists. So today, this whole paper talks about the differences between Homo sapiens and Homo young Earth creationists. So let me kind of simplify this and demonstrate this learning in a diagram that everyone here will be familiar with. So you guys understand what the march of progress is. You would have seen this before. So what we know, evolution of Homo sapiens, from Australopithecus down to Homo sapiens today. What we see is things like brain size is increasing and bipedalism as we start seeing a more upright walking posture. Now with Homo young Earth creationists, it's a different story. So what I want to kind of demonstrate here is the brain size stayed the same. So that's one of the key differentiations between both of the Homo species. And the second one is, instead of bipedalism, you'll find a continued bent posture, as you can kind of see in the diagram in front of you now. So that's the 2 main differences between the two species. Now, the other thing as well I want to kind of that we discuss in the paper is we looked at ancestry on some of the more popular young Earth creationist kinds on YouTube today. And what I did was I used the Parsons paper, 1999 paper. Now we know that's a very important paper because the FBI, the CIA, Department of Homeland Security, the Russian FSB, and the Israeli Mossad both use the data from this paper to actually conclude. So what I want to show is that, you know, today some of these young Earth creationist YouTubers, they all have a, I guess, a common ancestor, and that person is John Dunning-Kruger, died at the age of 69 and born in 1698. So, so all the young Earth creationists has come from this common ancestor, as we use the Parsons 1999 paper that the FBI uses as well. So I just wanted to kind of point this out. Now, is what I'm saying BS? Well, Standing for Truth himself has actually posted a picture of his cousin, basically saying that, you know, that they do come from American Epicurus, and there's an example of his cousin and American Epicurus. So, you know, he even agrees. So I also want to point out as well that I've also looked at direct quotes from some of these prominent Homo young Earth creationist kinds, and I can definitely say that Standing for Truth himself has actually said that evolution is a fact. Ken Hovind himself has even said evolution is true. And NephilimFree himself has said the words, "I believe in evolution." Now, I've learned some of these tactics from young Earth creationist kinds. It's something apparently called quote mining, but and I hopefully have used it to kind of good effect today. Now, what I kind of also want to talk about, and I'll try and finish off here as well very quickly. I want to talk about the fact that some of these Homo young Earth creationist kinds and how they kind of use data in a very unscientific manner. And I'm using Rawmat as an example here. Rawmat published a paper in PLOS Biology in August 2020. He's listed a whole bunch of sources at the front of it. You can kind of see it there in front of you. I'm just going to go through the latest of these sources and kind of see, does he represent this correctly? Now, the very latest one is Jensen in 2015. He said the most common ancestor is 6,000 years old. This is not a peer-reviewed paper. It was published in Ancestors Research Journal. It's essentially a blog article, and I'm not even going to look at this. And by the way, all of these have citations, and if you email me, I'll send you the presentation. But you know, Standing for Truth knows that you can't just press the screen and basically click on the hyperlink. But it's, you know, for those that are interested, have a look at it directly. Now, I'll kind of quickly go through these papers. In 2005, Rawmat says there's a Santos paper that says most common recent ancestor is 6,500 years old. I want to say that that paper says nothing of the sort. In fact, it references timeframes of mtDNA divergence of about 4 million to 7.5 million years ago. There's also a 2004 Roden and Olson paper where he gets very specific. He says the most common recent ancestor was 4,178 to 7,373 years ago. The interesting thing is that paper says nothing of the sort, which is really odd given how specific Rawmat is with these dates. In fact, the paper even references population movements between countries around 12,000 BC. So very odd. 2003, Howell and Bogelin, Rawmat says that the paper states is 6,500 years old for MC for the most common recent ancestor, says nothing of the sort. 2003 paper says is 6,400 years old. In fact, what the paper is analysis of 650 members of a particular community, Samaritan community, and it tries to calculate the most common recent ancestor of that community, which they've tracked back to about 80 generations. Doesn't even mention a date, and it's not about the most common recent ancestor for all humans today. 2001, same thing, 6,600 years ago. Now, interestingly, this paper does mention a 6,600-year-old data set. It is around a European HV1 sequence, but then it basically concludes that the paper says that the H haplogroup sequences are not only greater than 15,000 years old, but it is consistent with previous papers that have discussed this before. Nothing on 6,600 years old, and completely wrong what Rawmat's saying. 1999 paper, 6,300 plus or minus 200 years. Once again, it doesn't mention this time frame at all, so I'm not going to kind of go through it, and given time, I'm not going to go into detail. But I do want to say that nothing, basically the last 7 sources that, or later sources that Rawmat put up, says nothing of what he claims that it's saying. So whether he didn't read the paper correctly or he was misrepresenting it, I'll leave that up to you to kind of decide. But it's not correct. Now, I kind of asked myself, what are some of the reasons that young Earth creationists? Yep. Don't tell me he's missed all the good bits.
I'm afraid NephilimFree has ghosted us. I just found out NephilimFree is currently doing a live stream on his own channel. What? The ultimate insult. Let's see. So,
Ian, he Darth Dawkins us.
yeah.
Did he?
We got Darth.
I hate to do this, but I have no idea what is going on. We are going to have to. Pardon my interruption, Ian. We were trying to give. We were hoping that Nephilim Free was listening while you were explaining your opening statement, and that way we could hopefully keep the debate going. I thought maybe Neph's connection timed out, but Nephilim Free has pulled the ultimate fast one on us ever. He is
we've been thoroughly bamboozled by Nephi this evening.
This is some sort of tasteless joke by Nephilim Free. So but I can't help but laugh because it's just so I'm like, what is going on? Because I just looked. Let me see what he's saying. Hold on. I can turn up my volume so maybe you can hear it.
James, you've got to screen these interlocutors. You can't.
Well, I'm baffled.
If definitely can't make it, maybe we just go straight to questions or something, just and can close it early. I'm fine either way.
What we would like to do is, because I do appreciate your teasing of standing for truth, especially. What I don't want your opening to go to waste, so I would like to give you a full debate on this. I also don't want to keep going where Neff isn't here to defend himself, like kind of give his argument. So I do want to. I hate to say it. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Why is that simultaneously streaming? So.
Sorry, James, I can't really hear.
Yeah, James, you sound like you were like jogging at top speed away from the mic on that one.
Sorry about that. So
No, it's okay.
This is we've never had this happen. Neff is currently streaming, and I'm even reading his live chat, and I'm also.
Hey James, one of the things I was hoping to achieve today was to get Neff to rage quit. So I'm still going to take this as a win anyway. So if there's any super chats,
you set a record, Ian. You set a record for that.
I beat Dr. Dan. Well done. Hey, if there's any super chats that are relevant to me that you want to read, James, then I'm happy to do that as well.
You know what, Ian? We do have a super chat. And the super chat was from Cutest Girl for $3. $3 Australian, and they asked, "Are birds dinosaurs?" So that's a great question right off the bat.
Well, that's good because it can actually allow me to at least use one of my props that I had prepared. So here's my top hats. Now I just want to kind of note that Dapper Dino is the expert at this topic. He does know all of how birds are dinosaurs. And don't be surprised, Erika, because I know there's been a lot of science that's obviously you're not kind of have kept up across on the Homo youngest equation and stuff. So you can take that back to your professors and talk to them about that. But are birds dinosaurs? Absolutely, birds are dinosaurs. But I'll go one step further to say that there's evidence that birds are also Homo sapiens. Now, don't fall off your chair. Let me explain, Erika. Let me explain this. Let me explain this with a simple.
What was the question again? Forgive me if you can remind me, Erika.
Are birds dinosaurs?
Are birds dinosaurs?
And I'm saying, James, birds are definitely dinosaurs, but I'll go one step further to say birds are also Homo sapiens. And let me explain this with one question. Why is KFC
that's all right. So forgive me, Ian, but just to be a strict, you could say doctrinaire about keeping it so it's neutral, given that we gave you a chance to answer the original question, and given that we kept our promise of reading the super chat from that person, because we do want to honor that, but I also, at the same time, we have heard an opening statement from you, and it's pretty clear now. I think I'm reading his live chat. It looks like it's not an accident that Neff is actually, he was unhappy with I think your opening, and so I think that he has left purposely, and so I don't think we're going to have a creationist giving a rebuttal tonight. And so what I would like to do is wrap this up, and I have no ill will toward anybody, but it is the case that we don't have a debater taking the other position. So we are fully debates, and I don't know if you can hear me, if you can hear Nephilim, but that seems to be him on his own stream. So this has been an interesting soap opera tonight. Drama
and intrigue, to be sure.
But we, just to honor your questions, Snake, he also said, James, here's money for some burn cream for next time you see Nephi. So appreciate your support, but nonetheless, let's see. Mr. Wilford says, can Ian identify the tibula? Neff thinks it exists, apparently. Is that a joke or is that serious? But what we will do is, I've never seen anything like this. We've never had this. So yeah, we will potentially have this debate in the future. I don't know. We'll try to talk and see. but we do want to say we appreciate all of you guys coming out for the debate. We didn't expect that it was going to end short, and so we're sorry about that. And so NephilimFree, I guess Leophilius just let me know in the live chat, NephilimFree is emailing, and you can...
I just sent an email to Ian.
Can you hear that?
Apologizing that it had to be that way.
I don't know if you can hear that.
At least he's with us in some way.
Can you hear Neph right now?
He should, I think, issue a statement of, that there's a certain standard of behavior for participants in debates on his channel. And, because he should actually admonish Ian for that. Really, if it were, I think he should actually tell Ian in an email or something that kind of thing is just unacceptable on his channel, and he shouldn't, and he's not going to allow it. I really think he should do that. So that
I don't know if people can hear it in the live chat.
We can, yeah, I think they can hear it. I think so.
And I'm not going to broadcast it on my YouTube channel.
So what we're going to do is wrap up, and Nephilim is unhappy, and so I will respond to Neph's email, and we will be back Monday night, folks, as it's going to be an epic one. Vegan Gains will be back for the first time in maybe it's been at least 6 months, so that should be an epic veganism debate. And we want to say thank you, though, everybody, for being here. And Erika, thank you for your I know this is a surprise to you.
I'm just glad to be along for the ride, James. Man, I
Thanks,
just want
Erika.
to be here. Hey, I had a great time. You know what? Maybe we'll get it. I hope we get it later. I know how it goes.
I highly doubt it, but anyway, thanks for Neph for being a good sport anyway, and thanks also for moderating, Erika.
Hey, thank you for being here, Ian. It looks like we got 2 more things there, James. More super chats. You want to read those, or?
Sure. Let's see. Ooh, let's see.
I don't see. Oh, here they are. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna let you handle.
Lycanthropic testicles is they don't agree with Neff's style tonight. Patriot University PhD says Neff had to leave to pick up his Nobel Prize for overturning of evolution. So we well, congrats to Neff on that. But we will hopefully be back with this same debate potentially in the future. We will see. And so I want to say thanks, everybody, for showing up. Sometimes it's a wild one. Sometimes it goes a little off the rails. But we do appreciate you hanging out with us. And we hope that you keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Everybody, take care and have a good rest of your night or day, depending on where you are. And we'll hopefully see you Monday night.
Take care, folks.
Thanks all.